One of the most significant signs of the tribulation period is and here you can see altar Institute Temple Mount, stunning layouts that they have shown us, okay? Where they're actually performing surveyors on the Temple Mount. Temple Institute as well has now we've shown you before that the altar is already built. Here you can see it when they dedicated it. So where it should be. At the here plans exist for them to build Dome of the Rock area, the temple and the altar. So survey B, and here you can see the temple's Facebook page on the AF soldiers and performing this very function. Measure the temple and the altar. There you were seen on the Temple Mount these functions. We'll read the article and we'll show done just in the last few weeks. You're stunning on the temple and the altar. And you can see we're on the temple surveyors. So let's take a closer look. A large contingent of this morning. Jordanians. On Wednesday, Alaska Mosque. Today, Wednesday morning, Israeli surveyors of the squares of the blessed source here. So they're saying the occupation forces scanning and photographing work in all the Council of the WAF state team belonged to a company of survey of imaging. The council warned of by extremist groups to put engineering project alleged structure. In turn, the WAF Alaska Squares is a violation of the impending terrible the Islamic of Alaska Mosque. areas. Area, guys. Forces there, and then there's photographs of the surveyors. You can see the amount area. Rock right. Yeah. Suggest where a little bit farther in the they're facing the dome of the base here, and then here is where the Sanhedrin, within a close this photograph of photographs of the now in this photograph by the Sanhedrin, where the place they believe the in the center point the center of facing the Dome of the Rock in this. So what they're saying the altar location, and they're literally doing surveys. Again, here you can see structure on the outside, and then show you some of the other photographs that the Sanhedrin had posted. The altar, and then measure not the outer court for is. They posted this with the temple photograph. The underground number of hewn that is already built. So many parts. Okay, but they posted this photograph. Again, we showed you rock, and they also temple. Now, I want you picture of this is very layout. You can see in the layout, it's a whole complex of buildings superimposed. This guy's on. And we can find temple taking place where each here you can see here in the 70 nations 43 saw it with the Temple Institute as developments former post by the Sanhedrin and the Noahide laws we want to make it very plain. If one does not accept these, let me say that again. If one executed these, you can read this whole thing. This was posted January 9th in the rule. This is not a hoax. This is the measurements of the third temple. I'm posting is taking place on the Temple Mount to the Facebook page. Okay, have been fulfilled. The red heifer we're expecting is that there and or in this is happening. This is Bible prophecy. Can't emphasize enough for you to matters and Jerusalem. And title of the article, America as a new world superpower. This is what the rabbis are saying. Egypt and Rome, and the collapses and the Great Britain, all empires collapsed. But at this time, now you have is that Israel must take this place. Comes inside the world superpower, that the shift of glory, and we will call the and we're showing you that in this article, world leader is the template of God that promised families of the earth should be the opportunity for us to recall, fulfill all. Okay, so they're speaking the new world superpower. That's a new word. And the measurements of the temple as we prophecy being fulfilled. Okay. It must be centered in Jerusalem. Sanhedrin and see all the prophecy being measure the temple or the third. A lot of this before with the altar.